Welcome back to Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living.
Yesterday, we had the pleasure of joining Chef Shiri Saria in her kitchen here at Living Light Culinary Arts Institute. We started to prepare the porcini mushrooms we harvested with Eric Schramm at Mendocino Mushroom Company, rehydrated the wakame sea vegetables, and salted our pasta noodles created from fresh zucchini. We left off right at mixing our beautifully decadent truffle vegan cream sauce.
And now we're going to finish our linguine parody with truffle cream. Here's our truffle cream. It's all made and it smells so good. And now I want to show you what happened to the zucchini while we were gone. And Martine already drained it, and I just want you to show you how much more soft it is. It's more tender, and the moisture that was in it before, as you can see, it's just like pasta now. The moisture that was in it before is all right here. Look at that. And you don't have to throw this away. We really don't throw much away here at Living Light. This would be just fine in a dressing or in a soup. And of course it's salty, so it will take the place of the salt and the liquid in the dressing or the soup. In the meantime, we have this beautiful pasta here, and now we're going to add whatever other vegetables we want to it, and also our cream. Well, one of the things that I want in it, of course, are the porcini mushrooms. So here they are. These are the soaked mushrooms that were dehydrated, and now they're soaked and soft, and we want to chop them up fairly loosely. We really want them to be kind of like the texture of the clam in a linguine with clam sauce. So we don't want them too fine. It should just be a rough chop, like so that when you bite into it, you feel the texture of the mushroom, which is so much like the texture of clam. Now, for those of you who really haven't had fish for a really long time, and the idea of eating clams isn't so great for you, just don't think of it that way. Think of it as porcini mushrooms, because that's what it is. Okay, so there are our mushrooms, and those smell so good. The other thing that we want to add to it is our sea vegetables. And Martine has already cut up our sea vegetables. So it looks like this. Okay. Just like that, just beautiful. And now it's chopped up fairly fine. We don't want to have big chunks of sea vegetable. This particular sea vegetable is a little more crunchy, so we don't want it to be too hard to chew. So it should be nice for the palate. It should be nice and soft. Some of the other sea vegetables that we're going to be using are dulse. And dulse is another wonderful sea vegetable. This is the highest source of one of the highest sources. The other highest source is kelp of iodine. And so these are great sources of iodine as well as trace minerals for you. And these are wonderful. So we're adding those. We're also going to add some parsley. Some parsley to that. I'm going to save a little bit of it for the garnish. And this is fresh dill. It came out of our garden today. So we're just going to take off the outer stems here. And then we're going to chop it up. Typically, you want to think that when you dry something, that it's only a third of what it was when it was fresh. So here I can use a half tablespoon of fresh dill. And if I didn't have fresh dill, then I would use about a half teaspoon of dried dill. So because it's about 1/3. So I just want to mince this up. Whenever you're mincing herbs, you want to make sure that they're dry. Wash them, spin them to get all the moisture out of it, and then towel dry them so that they're not wet. If you try to mince herbs when they're wet, they clump together, and they're never able to sprinkle in and mix well in with your dish. So you see how nice and dry these are, and you see how well that sprinkles. So this is beautiful. And so we need about a half a tablespoon, and I think that's good. In fact, I'm just going to use it all because it's wonderful dill. I'm also going to be adding some tomatoes, and you can add these or not add these. It's going to be up to you. I showed you the little trick in another one of my demos. I'm going to show you again. If you cut around the seed bed, it just makes it a lot easier, and you don't have to worry then about taking all the seeds out of that. And I only need about a half a cup of these tomatoes. And so I'm just julienning them first. Julienne is the word that we use for cutting things in strips. Ultimately, though, what I want is I want a dice. So once I have the tomato julienne, I just turn it to the side, and in a very controlled way, I can now cut it crosswise against the julienne, and I make it nice and diced. So I have perfect little squares every time. And that's a little bit less than a half cup, so I'm going to ask Martine to cut another one up for me, and then I can show you how to cut up the onion. Okay, first I'm going to cut off this shoot end. This is what I showed you this once before. An onion can be tricky because it has these rounds. The only time you want to cut with the rounds is if you want rings. Everything else that you want is going to be in strips or in little dices. And that's why we have to cut it in the middle first, place that cut end down, and then we can begin cutting. And we'll want to cut with the striations if we're cutting it to dice, so that we start like this, then we cut sideways, and you see we have nice dices. Or you could do like I showed you in my other demo before. You can slice it very paper thin in julienne strips. And I really like this device to do that. This is a handheld mandolin with a ceramic blade. And once I have it there, I can cut the end off and release all of these. And look at how paper thin and wonderful those are. You can use as little or as much as you want. I'm not in the mood for a lot of onions, so I'm not going to put all of these in right now. So we'll just take these out. And we'll put them aside, and we'll make onion bread or something else out of them. We don't ever have to waste anything. That's what I love about understanding the importance of organic produce and honoring our food. It's really important to honor our food. Okay, another ingredient that I'd like to add today is yellow bell peppers. They're so beautiful, and they add this wonderful color contrast to this dish that I'm making right now. You could also use gypsy peppers. Of course, you could use red bell peppers. Green bell peppers are unripe fruit, so I never suggest that people use green bell peppers. A lot of people have a problem digesting peppers, and usually it's the green bell peppers because they're unripe. So I'm dicing this. You could also just leave it in a julienne strip if you wanted to. And now the last thing that I have to add are my capers, and I love capers in this dish. I'm going to leave a few of them out just to garnish my dish with. And the next thing that I have to do is to toss in my sauce. Before I toss my sauce, though, I want to integrate all of my vegetables in with this beautiful pasta. And once I put the sauce in, it's going to kind of glue it all together. And so I want to make sure it's well integrated before I do that. It always pays to take your time when you're preparing food. Make sure you have plenty of time and give it the love that it deserves, because everything responds to love. And they have done studies on this and found that when you put love into water, when you put love into food, then the recipient of that really does notice the difference. It tastes better, it feels better, and I think it has more healing energy as well. Okay, so that looks beautiful, and it's colorful, and it's starting to smell so good. So now what I'm going to do is add my sauce, and this is the truffle sauce, and it smells so good. This would be a dish that you would serve to your foodie friends, those friends of yours who might not think that raw food could be gourmet, that might not think that it's really that important to eat to eat fresh, ripe, raw, organic, vegan food because all they care about really is taste. Well, this will satisfy them, and you'll also know that you're feeding something that's health promoting at the same time. So, oh, it smells so good. I wish you could smell this. It really is wonderful. And this will last in the refrigerator for just a couple of days. It's the kind of thing that you really want to make and serve right away. You wouldn't make pasta and dress it with its sauce and then let it sit around for very long. It's something that, you know, you want to make fresh. If you have to make it in advance, then go ahead and prep your vegetables, prep your sauce, and then toss it in together at the last minute just before you serve it. That's always the best thing to do. So, there we have it. Absolutely beautiful. It's so colorful and it smells wonderful. So now I'm going to show you what it would look like on a plate. Now this is a very, very rich dish, so I would suggest that you serve it as a first course and just serve a little bit rather than have a big bowl of pasta. It should be a little bit of a smaller serving so that you don't overdo it. And it's so good that it really can stand on its own. You don't have to have anything else with it because it's just so beautiful and so wonderful on its own. And here I have some capers that I can use to garnish it, and a little bit of parsley on my plate. And there you have it, linguine parody with white truffle cream. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Sherry Soria from Living Light Culinary Arts Institute. Please visit my website at www.rawfoodchef.com. Thanks for joining us at Vegetarianism, the Noble Way of Living. Next up is Between Master and Disciples.
Visit rawfoodchef.com to learn more about Sherry Soria and the Living Light Culinary Arts Institute.
For more details, please visit www.suprememastertv.com/VEG.